Welcome back to the Silicone Zone. Full synthetic coming at you like 40 going north. In my previous video, Feminism's Last Stand, the war against sex dolls, we explored the real reasons why feminists feel threatened by sex dolls. We also explored many of the arguments they will have for banning the manufacturing, vending, distributing, or purchasing of these dolls. And I took every one of those arguments and I systematically destroyed them all. Unfortunately, there will be even more arguments that these feminists will surely have in trying to have sex dolls and sex bots banned in all Western countries. In this video, I will be exposing and targeting the remainder of their frivolous arguments. And if some Joe Average YouTube content producer like myself can make such quick work of their arguments, just imagine what an actual lawyer representing these doll manufacturers and vendors could do to these feminists and their hypocrisies and double standards. After the previous video I made, we have already destroyed their proverbial radar installations and anti-aircraft guns. In this video, we will be targeting their proverbial artillery batteries and missile installations. We will be going deep behind enemy lines in the war against sex dolls. One of the biggest arguments the feminazis will have in their arsenal is going to be that sex dolls will destroy relationships between men and women. I can destroy this argument in one sentence. What relationships between men and women? How can a sex doll destroy something that no longer exists? For you see, ladies and gentlemen, there are no relationships between men and women anymore. At least not healthy ones. And there haven't been any healthy relationships. Well, I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but, well, ever since feminism came along and completely destroyed the dynamic between men and women. Maybe that had something to do with it, ladies. So again, I ask the question, what relationships are we actually talking about? It can't possibly be marriage, since the majority of divorces are actually initiated by the wife, not the husband. And feminists seem to be in favor of that sort of thing too, especially the part where the men lose their kids and get financially raped in divorce courts. And ever since feminism, less people than ever before are getting married, and the few that do are waiting longer than ever to get married, and the divorce rates have been skyrocketing ever since. Well, you know, feminism. But I'm sure all that stuff is just a coincidence too, ladies. So, what relationships between men and women can these feminists possibly be talking about? I wish they could have been a little more specific. Could it be the master and slave type of relationship that exists between modern women and men? Or perhaps they are referring to the relationship between prostitutes and their johns. I don't know. Who are we trying to fool here, ladies? There are no relationships because there's nothing left between men and women to relate to. Allow me to elaborate, ladies. While there is always an exception to the rule, generally speaking, men love their country. Women love globalism. Men defend borders. Women think borders should not exist. Men defend the interests of the tribe. Women only defend their own interests. Men are faithful to their tribe. Women are faithful to whatever tribe is winning the battle or has the most resources. Men love women. Women love resources. Men think. Women feel. Men like facts. Women hate facts. Men defend freedom and liberty. Women will gladly exchange their own liberties and freedoms for entitlements and resources. Men defend their women, family, tribe, and freedom with guns. Women defend the right of big government to have those guns confiscated from their own tribesmen. Men defend against attackers. Women attack their defenders. A man is simple. A woman is complicated. Men are easy to please. Women are insatiable. We simply have nothing in common anymore. Thanks to feminism, there is nothing left for men and women to relate to. Therefore, there are no relationships left to destroy, and to avoid dealing with the real issue that has destroyed the relationships between men and women, feminists will attempt to deflect all responsibility for destroying the relationship between men and women by blaming sex dolls and sex bots. And they are doing this not because they actually care about the relationships between men and women. They are doing this because they know sex dolls and sex bots will eventually break the control they have over men, and will also destroy the monopoly women have always had over the sex industry. For far too long, the only thing women have been bringing to the table was access to sexual gratification and the ability to reproduce. The sex bots and sex dolls will make the only thing that modern women really have to offer men optional or obsolete. These women know that sex dolls, sex bots, and artificial intelligence are only a prelude to finding alternatives for men to have children of their own, without the need for organic female reproductive systems. Technology is already nearing the verge of accomplishing this. Then these women will be forced to live in the true gender equality that they claim to have been fighting for all along. And then they will not like what true gender and equality feels like. Now that we have completely obliterated their argument that sex dolls would destroy the relationships between men and women, we can now move on to our next target. Another argument the feminazis will use to try shaming and virtue signaling governments into passing laws against the manufacturing, distributing, or owning of sex dolls is sex dolls and sex bots will drive our birth rates down below population replacement levels. What these women are implying is that sex dolls and sex bots will lead to the extinction of the human race. This argument is packaged differently by so-called traditional women, nawalts, and women who claim to have conservative leanings, yet still enjoy all the unfair and unwarranted benefits, perks, and advantages created by feminism. These women will make the same argument as the feminazis, but they will word it a little differently. They will say something like, sex dolls and sex bots will drive Western birth rates down below population replacement levels and will threaten the continuation of Western culture. And the women of the far right who identify as alt-right, the new right, or identitarian, who are also entitled to enjoy all the advantages created by feminism, will simply forego all the political correctness and put it as bluntly as possible. These women will also word their argument differently and say something like, sex dolls and sex bots are just Zionist tools to genocide the white race. This argument will be the most powerful and dangerous weapon that the feminazis will have in their arsenal. The reason why is, even the women who claim they do not agree with feminism, and even the women who claim to be diametrically opposed to feminism, will all be on the same page as far as banning sex dolls and sex bots in the West. These women will actually join forces in complete solidarity where sex dolls and sex bots are concerned, And this argument will also play on the justifiable fears of many Western men who will also support these women in their endeavors to ban these sex dolls and sex bots. I can destroy the feminist version of this argument by simply pointing out the fact that our birth rates have been below population replacement levels long before the sex dolls and the sex bots ever became popular. In fact, this trend has been going on since the 1930s. It did not really begin to escalate, and I'm sure this is also just another coincidence, until feminism came along and told women they don't need men anymore, don't need to have families, and that they should just focus on their careers until they are well into their late 30s and 40s. Therefore, once again, the problem is not sex dolls and sex bots. The problem is, as usual, feminism. I would destroy the Tradcon-Nawalt version of this argument by pointing out the same facts that I used against the feminazis. And I would even add that the biggest threat to Western culture has been feminism and all other leftist ideologies, not sex dolls and sex bots. I have yet to find a single sex doll or sex bot that has ever voted in an election, yet alone vote for a socialist, a communist, a cultural Marxist, or a liberal politician of any kind. Therefore, their argument simply does not hold water. I would destroy the far-right version of this argument by pointing out all the same facts that I used against the feminazis and the Tradcon-Nawalts. And I would point out that white people worldwide have already been below the 9.0 population replacement level for several years now, and this can be attributed to white women eating their birth control pills and morning after pills like Halloween candy, murdering their own unborn fetuses by the millions for decades on end, engaging in alternative lifestyles, polluting their bodies with drugs and alcohol, and putting off having a family in favor of pursuing their careers well into their late 30s and 40s, and dating outside their own race and culture in epidemic proportions. And where did white women get all these non-tribal, non-traditional, non-reproductive ideas? Nope, it wasn't from sex dolls and sex bots. Nope, it wasn't from MGTOW either. It was, as usual, yup, you guessed it, ladies, feminism. And who is having the most mixed-race babies? Nope, not Chinese women. Nope, not Japanese women. Nope, not the women of Uganda or Zimbabwe. Nope, not the women of Taiwan. Nope, not the women of Saudi Arabia. Nope, not sex dolls and sex bots. And certainly not the women of Israel either. Could it be white women? Yup, and where did they get the idea of breeding themselves into extinction? Nope, it wasn't from sex dolls and sex bots. Nope, it wasn't MGTOW either. Yep, ladies, you guessed it. It was the usual suspect, standing there holding the rainbow flag next to the fluffy pink unicorn. It was feminism. And these women of the far right would surely try shaming me into seeing things their way by saying something to the effect of, but don't you want to secure the future of the white race by having white babies? Well, of course I did, my lovely white shield maidens. I wanted to have white babies. Decade after decade after decade. Unfortunately, every white woman I ever met turned out to be an entitled, lying, manipulative, psychotic, cheating whore. Should I have made the biggest mistake of my life by getting one of them pregnant and spend the next 2 decades paying child support and God only knows what else, just to fight for visitation rights just to see the kids that have already been brainwashed into hating me by their own mother? Would this make you happy, ladies? Or should I make that same mistake now, knowing everything that my past dating experiences and MGTOW has taught me about women? Would me living in a 0-bedroom efficiency while working 3 jobs and surviving on ramen noodles for the next 20 years help save the white race? Would that make you happy, ladies? I know that wouldn't make me happy. And I have many white male friends that have had white babies, and every last one of these men got screwed in divorce court. And I've watched thousands of MGTOW videos where men of every race, creed, ethnicity, and religion have been screwed by women in divorce court. So please forgive me, my white sisters, if I value self-preservation over racial and cultural preservation. Of course, I have always done more than my fair share to preserve all of these things, but any man who puts the interests of the tribe as a whole over their own self-preservation in an age of rampant hypergamy and gynocentrism is a fool. I have only one life to live. I'd gladly live out the remainder of my lifespan in the safety and security of sex dolls than risk the consequences of dating modern progressive white women while waging war against feminism one video at a time on my YouTube channel. Yes, I'm a race realist and an identitarian, and I have many traditional beliefs, but in MGTOW, I have many brothers of many races. And like soldiers on a battlefield, we all have a common enemy, and that common enemy is feminism. And if feminism is truly the enemy of traditional Eurocentric shield maidens, then you should welcome all the help you can get from MGTOW and even sex dolls themselves if they are being weaponized against these radical feminists. The alt-right, the alt-light, and the new right cannot explain why they feel this way or complain about radical feminism while criticizing the greatest opposition feminism has ever faced and the tools which we are weaponizing against these feminists. Either you are in favor of feminism or you are against it. I would also elaborate even further, much further, for you see, I would rather see my own race, the white race, be driven completely into extinction rather than to see it continue under the tyranny of feminism. In fact, I'd rather see every race, creed, religion, and culture on earth completely die off before I continue seeing men of any race, creed, religion, or ethnicity continue living under the tyranny of feminism. For I identify far strongly as a member of my gender than I do my own tribe, especially when it has been the very members of my own tribe, white women in particular, that have always caused me the most problems. As far as I am concerned, we do not deserve to have a future until feminism becomes a thing of the past. And their whole, don't you want to secure the future of our race thing, just kind of comes off to me as playing on men's natural instincts to protect the tribe, to simply avoid dealing with the real problem. What this really translates to is, remain our slaves or we will go extinct. These women are low enough to utilize the desperation that feminism has created while capitalizing on men's tribal instincts to try keeping us on the plantation. The fact of the matter is, whites actually had the highest birth rates when we were faced with extreme poverty and famine, and long before the existence of feminism. My grandfather had 11 brothers and 2 sisters, and his parents were just poor farmers living in the mountains of Italy with very little money or opportunity. They lived simple but very healthy lives, not because of feminism or big government social programs, but because of hard work and a strong family dynamic. Maybe when things finally get bad enough for us, we will start having large families again. The reason why I made this video in the preceding video is so that all my subscribers and viewers can be heavily armed with counter arguments to verbally defend themselves against any feminist that tries attacking, bullying, or shaming them for defending doll manufacturers, vendors, owners, and even MGTOW itself. When they attack us with their feelings and opinions, we will counterattack with cold, hard facts. We will show no mercy. It is not enough to simply win the argument. They must be humbled and even humiliated in their defeat. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, share, subscribe, or leave a comment. Have a great day, gentlemen.